Chapter 14 is out, and I've completed it. I'm at the login screen right now. I will be logging in, and we will be greeted by a very familiar face, and then I will continue my review of this. But I'm just super excited. I was super excited way back in May when it was revealed that we were getting her for a welfare unit, and I'm just like super happy.
プログラム起動訪問者確認ドクターおはよう
She's so cute. Okay. Chapter 14 is out. Absolved will be the seekers. It is peak Arknights. It is absolute peak. I mean, the culmination of the entire Victoria arc is epic. It's kind of like the ending to the Lost Belt saga in FGO, or maybe the potential end to when Genshin Impact does its Shesnaya arc, whatever, next year. I mean, you're going through a process, and when you reach that culmination, that culmination has to be epic. This is the end game of Arknights, and it just nailed everything with cameo appearances from certain characters, with the matchups, with the team ups, with the alters. The story just takes off right where we left off from, chapter 13. And Broken Sun. The music is fabulous. It's absolutely amazing. I like the wallpaper that they have here, and it's just very beautiful. Okay, I got two of these here. The artwork is stunning, and I really love the fact that we have a lot of special artworks in this story. Compared to other previous chapters, I think this one has the most specially drawn artworks, which is just epic. I think I took around 15-20 screenshots or so, and that just shows that how much beautiful the art is in this game. Talking about the story, it's like it's hard to describe how epic it felt while reading it. You start off with the Ferren Mutt, and then you see this new stuff, this Originium Storm. The shard has been activated, the skies of Victoria have turned red, and you just do not know what is happening. And even the first stage that you enter, where you have that Originium Storm swirling, and you have, like, I don't know, I never played CN, I don't play CN, I did not look at any of the spoilers when this chapter dropped on CN, so I just went in completely blind into this, and I was blown away. The actors, I mean, what am I saying, the characters, Teresa, Vishadel, Carlson, Amia, Logos, Doctor. The redemption of Doctor, especially after what we saw in Babel. I feel like, to truly appreciate chapter 14, you must read Babel. It's closely linked. It's probably, I feel it's one of the most important side stories that you have to read to truly appreciate Arknight's story, especially chapter 14, because it's very heavily tied into Babel's arc, and reading Babel will just enhance your experience of it. Moving on, Vishadel. I love this psycho bomber. Logos is a Giga Chad, although I do not have him yet, but one day I'll get him. I'll get him one day. Ines, Hodrer. I really like the fight between Ascalon and Manfred, although I don't think we have a conclusion to what happened in that fight. The last we saw of Ascalon and Manfred was them fighting and then falling off the Ferren Mutt, so I have no idea whether Ascalon is still alive or not. And I swear to God, please be alive. Because I don't remember reading about Ascalon in the epilogue or such. After that, Teresa, who is the main highlight of this chapter. I really love that, Babel dived deeper into what Theresa was, how she was, what her personality was like. And this just expanded upon it. It just showed that, despite being revived by her brother, despite being revived by Theresis, and despite being thrown into the enemy side, she still preserved her personality, her emotions, and even though, she was doing what she thought was right, and I think everybody can agree that Theresa wasn't always in the right, but that's what makes her a great character, because you don't have to continuously be doing right stuff, or you don't have to continuously be doing wrong stuff. It's a mix of both that makes a character unique, that makes a character likable. And for me, I just like Theresa as a whole, because she gave birth to Babel. She is the reason that we have Rhodes Island right now, and she's the reason the Doctor is still. I mean, technically, Calcit is the reason that we're still, like we're playing Arknights, because lore-wise, if Calcit hadn't woken up the Doctor, Arknights wouldn't have happened. Babel would have been flowing peacefully. There would be no Vishidel, and Amia and Theresa would be living happily ever after. At least until Theresis didn't go mad or something. But yeah, so it's just it's just amazing. Talking about Siege now. Let's talk about Siege, because Veena Victoria, the Sigh of Kings, the Realm Blade. That scene was totally epic. I remember that fight. 1410. 1410 is an amazing fight sequence. It has it shows Siege trying to get to the stone where she has to thrust the sword into it, and it just plays out as a form of an operation, which I feel is really good. And I wish I really like that chapter 14 had these moments where you have 1410, where you have 1422, or you have certain stages where the characters are helping you out, what should I say, I think it was 14, no, not this one, I think it was 1411, where you have Logos with you. Then you have one stage like this one, 1412, where you have Shining and Margaret Niall, Niall the Radiant Knight, helping you. Then you have another stage where Logos is helping you, I think it was 1420. And then you have 1418, where Vishadel is helping you. So certain stages where we had these kind of stuff, it just made the entire experience much more immersive in nature. And I actually completed this chapter with Ines, Horderer, Calcit as my permanent spots, and Ascalon. These 4 operators were permanently on my team, at least on the standard environment. And for 1421, I did switch it up, because you have to do massive amounts of damage in a short duration of time to clear the stage. But apart from that, doing it with Ines, Horderer, Ascalon, Calcit, it was a different experience altogether. And I cleared 1421 with Amia, so it was just insane. Although I think 1421 forces you to use Amia, so there's that as well. I mean, to those guys who haven't raised their Amia, I pity you guys. But yeah, you should raise your Amia, especially the caster form. She has true damage. S3 is, I think, S2 or S3. I think, yeah, S3 is amazing. All right, enough of the story. The stages were very well designed. They were very well designed. I really like the Originium Storm concept. It forced me to think where could I deploy my operators. After that, we had the spinning Beyblade stuff, which was lore wise the Sarkaz. The souls of the Sarkaz manifested as shadows, and we were fighting them. But I'm just gonna call them Grey Beyblades for ease of explanation. The Grey Beyblades were actually pretty fun to tackle. They weren't that annoying. We those Seaborn stuff, or what we had in chapter 13 and chapter 12 with, you know, the blood leeches, and then before that you have the stuff that increases your block count, and then that missile artery drops down. That was a bullshit chapter. But no, this chapter, the stages were really fun to do. It was really epic. Even the final bosses, Theresa and Vishadel boss, like, you know, the one where you fight the Revenant, those bosses were amazing. Concept wise, design wise, gameplay wise, it was unique. And I do remember why the Theresa boss was interesting, because when the first time I did that, I cleared it with 2-star, and I did not realize that, you know, there was a timer and you had to defeat Theresa 2 times, and that would automatically clear the stage. But I had just killed her the second time, but then one enemy leaked, so I just, you know, it was stupid. But alright, my favorite boss in this one was 1418, which is actually one of the best boss fights that I've had in this game, because, you know, it's not your stupid boss has an insane amount of HP and you just need to do anything and everything and just try your best. It's a very easy concept. It's like you're charging your cannons, which, like, you know, Vishadel is there, so I perceived this entire operation as you are charging Vishadel's cannon so that she can defeat the Revenant, which is probably what happened in the story as well. But it's a very easy node once you figure out what you do. You just have to target the cannons, and after that you just keep on activating the cannons, and it's just like an auto defeats boss. Like, you know, even on adverse difficulty, this was probably the easiest boss that I've ever fought. And yet also epic, because, you know, you have those two beams colliding with each other, which kind of reminds me of Harry Potter. Like, always, like, whenever two beams collide and you have those sparking animation and such, it's always Harry Potter. So yep, there's that. The boss fights were pretty fun. The story was long but worth it. Hidden Front is also something which I have cleared completely, and it's a fun mini game. I really like this mini game, and it was like, you know, it forced you to think, like, you know, which strategies could work and not, and it was a basic mathematic game. I like these kinds of games. It's fun to play. After that you have Secret Place, which is where you get the tokens for Theresa. I have 2 left, which means, like, you know, I still have to do 1421 on adverse. I tried it once but I failed, so yeah, I'm gonna do it later, tomorrow maybe. I'm gonna do it because I have lots of true damage with me. And then you have EG6, which is, I feel like, you know, many people should go and unlock this. And if you don't know how to unlock this, you could, I'm just gonna tell you, like, just do 1418 and 1421 with Armia in your squad. You don't have to use her, you just have Armia in your squad and you're good to go. EG6 is one of the most bittersweet chapters that I read. It's about Theresa looking at the past and the future and everything that's going on Terra, like, you know, certain events. She sees a prelude to Zwillingstrom, she sees a prelude to Lone Trail, she sees the aftermath of Undertides, she sees Sami, and I don't know whether Typhon's event was set before or after the Victoria arc, but she sees Sami. And then she sees the Sancta, which I think is set after the Victoria arc as well. So it was just amazing, and, you know, the tying up was nice. Although I'm still not a fan of the timeline structure that Arknights had. I wish we got a proper timeline graph so that, you know, we could understand which events are chronologically happening. Like, you know, I just found out yesterday that Stultifer and Navis and Undertides are set after the Victoria arc, and Lone Trail is also set after the Victoria arc, while A Walk in Dust is set way before Babel. No, way before, I mean, it was set somewhere in between. I think it's set way before Babel, I'm pretty sure. And I haven't read Dark Knights Memoir, but yeah, I need to read this. So, like, yeah, I would really like if we got a timeline structure with this, because, you know, apparently when Vulnerable Blow and every Sui sibling story is set way after the Victorian arc, like in 1100 something, while Victoria arc takes place in 1098. Il Sirocasano also takes place later. Dorothy's vision takes place later, which I did not know. So there's so many stages that takes place later. This event takes place, I think it takes place after the somewhere. I don't know, but yeah, I just would really appreciate it if you could get a timeline for this. Apart from that, the operators were amazing. I still have the Babel and the Absolved will be the Seekers one. Running Holder and Ines was pretty fun because that comp is amazing. Wishadel, I got Wishadel. I got Ifrit, which I have to level up. But overall, I really liked the moment where Margaret Neal dropped to save Shining and Nightingale. That was a really strong moment, and I did not expect her to come in, so that cameo was absolutely amazing. Apart from that, logo scenes, the biggest highlight was that we went inside Originium, which is unheard of, which I thought was impossible, and that was just such a great insight on what Originium is, and I have no idea what consequences that would serve for the future of Arknights, but I'm really glad that we finally know what that substance is and how it came to be and what happens when you get infected or something like that. I mean, that stuff is basically a data gatherer. It grabs data, it stores data. So it was just a nice concept with the entire golden structure and the crystals and all. It was just so beautiful. Apart from that, the Theresa boss fight, as I said before, was nice. The final boss fight, which you're supposed to see, where Vishadel and Amia fight Theresa, it was actually quite sad, but the animation that played before it was so beautiful. The animation for chapter 14 is amazing, like hands down amazing. Even the daggers inheritors animation for W, peak. After that, I really liked the interactions between Doctor and Monster. Like, it was super cute. I did not expect Monster to be such a what should I say? It's just a cute thing. I mean, up till chapter 8 or so, Monster's like, Monster just kills this, Monster just kills that, but over here, Monster felt like a really adorable pet. Like, someone who is like super happy to be around you and stuff. So I like the bonding between Doctor and Monster. Apart from that, the Victorian Dukes are still dumb. Like, we are still going to get a civil war between them, which I think is the event where we get Vina Victoria. Ablana has revived Tara, which is interesting. Reunion is back. Chen and Nine meet again, which they left on a cliffhanger. Like, why are you doing this to me? I've been waiting for the reunion for the reunion of Chen and Nine since Nine left Lungmen, and I was like, super hyped for that. And when I saw Nine meeting Chen, I was like, whoa, this happened actually. Finally it happened. With Iblana, I have no idea where Arknights will go in the future, whether we will get Iblana as the proper antagonist, or she'd be thrown away into a side story, like, go do whatever you want. We'll check the timeline later. So I don't know what chapter 15 is going to be about in Arknights, but I just wish, like, it is a gradual change. Like, we go from Iblana, then we go to the Seaborn crisis, or we go to the Lone Trail stuff, the sky is fake and all. I don't know what chapter 15 will be, but I'm just super excited to see what it is going to be. One thing I absolutely liked was the return of Allerdale, which I was like expecting, because in chapter 13 she was teased that she escaped the Mausoleum of Kings with the steam light, and we saw Allerdale, but when we saw her for the first time, she was Milscar. And I was like, I have seen this woman somewhere. I just couldn't pinpoint it. So I ran up a Google search and searched Milskar, and the Google search showed me Aladin. And I was like, I had my suspicions, but yeah. So I have no idea what prompted Aladale to become Milskar. Like, I do remember bits that, she betrayed Siege. And in the end, she sacrificed herself to save Siege and all. But what changes did she go through that she became Milskar? And I just hope that she becomes playable. I mean, I do not want to wait for, like, another Frost Nova kind of stuff. I do not want another Frost Nova. But apart from that, I have no idea where Arknights is going to go now. But that's what makes it more interesting. Like, every new event will be looked after. And maybe we're gonna get chapter 15 next year on the CN side. I have no idea, but I hope so. I do hope that we get chapter 15 pretty soon. Another scene that I liked was when W finally met Theresa and she asked for a name, and then Theresa gave that name Vishidel. Now that was a beautiful scene. That scene actually made me tear up a little, because I really liked the relationship W and Theresa shared, and it was conveyed perfectly in the story with W's inner thoughts and her personality towards Theresa. Like, till the end, she was adamant, she was stubborn to see that Theresa was in the right and that Theresa could never do anything wrong. And that's loyalty. She was loyal to Theresa. I also teared up a little when when it was revealed to Amiya and Vishidel that the doctor was the one that killed Theresa. It was insane. Like, Vishidel W was like, there has to be a reason. There has to be a reason. She was, for the first time, she spoke sense, and it was a nice moment. But what hurt me was when Amiya said that she knew. She, somewhere deep down in her, knew that the doctor had done it. But, I mean, I really liked the redemption that they gave the doctor. Like, I read Babel and I did not like the doctor in it, especially with what he did to Theresa. But after reading chapter 14, I cannot be mad at the doctor, because, after waking up from his second amnesia, or maybe his first amnesia, after waking up for the second time from deep sleep, when he woke up in Chernobog, and when we actually play through the events of Arknights, it's like, the doctor is us, and we've seen what we've been through. We've seen our decisions and all, and it just doesn't make sense. And I think even the doctor right now cannot make sense of why he would do something like that. So I feel like, we have changed the doctor, which is nice, which is kind of nice. And I would really be interested in seeing where we go ahead. I mean, the doctor now knows that he was the one that killed Kalsit and all. And I'm not, what am I saying? We also know that, the doctor was the one that killed Theresa, and he does remember some parts of Priestess. We also got a Priestess scene, which was, I love Priestess's eyes. Those eyes are beautiful. Yeah, we still don't know much about Priestess. So apart from that, I just wish, like, chapter 15 would dive into much of the greater stuff, or the bigger stuff, Priestess, or the Undertide stuff, or the Seaborn crisis, because Kalsit went there. And if Undertides and Stultifer and Navis are set after Victoria Arc, there's a lot of stuff that Rhodes Island could dive into, and we honestly don't know what chapter 15 could be about, what the new County Hillock would be. Yeah, when I started County Hillock, those were the good old days. When I didn't know what Victoria was, and when I was like, okay, this girl's name is Bagpipe, whose name is actually Fiona, and then there's Horn, and then there's a hot lady called Outcast, who apparently died. Yeah, that was good old days. Good old days. But yeah, we've completed chapter 14 and it was amazing. So that's where I'm gonna end this video. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Hope your pulls went well and I hope you enjoyed this story. Goodbye.
ドクター、疲れたの？それなら少し休んだらいいわ。誰だって穏やかに眠りにつく権利を持っているの。あなただってね。